Keeping the Music Alive, read aloud by Mrs. Niekamp. This is out of your magnetic workbook, pages 145 to 146. Keeping the Music Alive by Jacqueline Adams. Throughout history, people have loved making and listening to music. But during the Great Depression of the 1930s, many musicians lost their jobs because music lovers could no longer afford to go to concerts or pay for private lessons. A lack of funds forced schools to eliminate or reduce music programs. This meant that many music teachers were out of work too. To keep the music alive, the U.S. government started the Federal Music Project, or FMP, in 1935. It provided jobs for out of work musicians. In many parts of the country, project funds helped create music ensembles. These range from large symphony orchestras to small groups of performers. The ensembles performed free or low cost concerts in schools, community centers, hospitals, parks, and many other places. They also supplied recordings to radio stations. The project also created jobs for music teachers. Some teachers were hired to give free music classes to anyone, children or adults, who couldn't afford them. Others were sent to work in schools. Many of those schools had never offered music instruction. Some dedicated FMP teachers traveled hundreds of miles every month over unpaved roads to reach students in remote areas. And the students loved it. Helen Chandler Ryan was the director of the New Mexico FMP. At one school that had no instruments, she noticed something incredible. The pupils have gathered bottles, glasses, cylindrical oatmeal boxes, etc., and are making their own instruments for a rhythm band. Ryan also used the Music Project to preserve New Mexico's local music heritage. Folk musicians performed songs, were collected and published, and new musicians were trained. For example, director Pedro Vallis formed a children's Orquesta Typica. The members traveled and performed Latin American music. A later report on New Mexico's FMP said that it renewed a pride in the hearts of New Mexicans in their folk heritage, so that folk singing, dancing, and playing are now more popular with the young generation. Nationwide, the FMP employed 17,000 musicians in its first year alone. People across the country experienced the thrill of a symphony, opera, or live concert for the first time. Some of the ensembles created then, such as the Utah Symphony Orchestra, are still performing today. By keeping the music alive, the FMP helped musicians and teachers survive. It also started many children down a musical path and brought joy to music lovers across the country.